Next division is local business tax. We actually only have one local business tax specialist that handled all of the registrations for the city, and that's professionals and businesses. So you can imagine he's very, very busy. The local business tax is the tax for operating a business or working as a licensed professional within the city limits. We also proactively identify businesses or professionals which do not have a current business tax. This division works really closely with zoning. If there's a permit that comes in for interior renovations, we make sure they have a local business tax. And so there's a lot of coordination within our department to make sure that everyone is in compliance. Next division is our development review division. A lot of people know this in other jurisdictions as current planning. So this division is composed of current planners, development review planners. So the review, this division reviews new development projects to ensure that long-range plans of the city are implemented and that new development adheres to city code and regulations. They work on applications that generally go to the planning board and the city commission, just like site plans, development agreements, rezones, conditional uses, etc. So when there's a public hearing, there's usually something on the agenda that we take care of. This division works with developers, architects, engineers, attorneys, and neighborhood representatives to achieve a balanced integration between new development and the built environment. So even though we do have standards for review for different applications, we do want, a balance within communities, and we do hear from the neighborhoods and from, the community that reaches out to us to be able to come into a compromise and get a project that works for everyone. This is the table of organization that I showed on one of my first slides, and I highlighted the development review division. It's a small division also. It's headed by Kevin McAndrew. Karen Grassett is our permitting tech, and then currently we have 2 development review planners, and we are in the process of hiring a 3rd. And the next division is zoning. So zoning promotes orderly development by reviewing building permits against the zoning code. They answer a lot of questions from the general public. They're usually one of the first point of contacts when someone wants to know what they can do with their property. Additional duties that they have is zoning code confirmation letters. So if you receive confirmation that your property is zoned a certain zone district and just anything that you need confirmed, there's a process for that, and they handle that. They also review lot split and boundary adjustment applications. They review temporary activity permits. They even do assignments of street addresses. So it's a little bit diverse of what they do. And then again, the 2 highlighted spaces there are the zoning division. There's 2 people currently. We are in the process of hiring a 3rd zoning analyst. So we will have a total of 3 zoning analysts. And our next division is tree protection. The city arborists review tree permit applications and development applications for compliance with the City of Sarasota tree ordinance. A permit is required to remove or relocate any tree other than a citrus tree greater than 4 1/2 inches in diameter at rust height in most palm trees. Future amendments are in process. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of what's going on, but we are in the process of updating the tree ordinance. There was a tree advisory committee that was formed a few years ago, about 4 years ago, and they recommended some changes. So we're in the process of getting those changes implemented.
Lucia, is there some significance to 4 1/2 inches as opposed to 4, as opposed to 5?
That is a good question. I'm not sure, actually. Yeah, that is a good question. Yeah, maybe they couldn't decide which one. And then also to add, there is no fee to remove a nuisance species, but a permit is required. So, we try to still make sure that people are in compliance, but, the no fee kind of helps a little bit with those kinds of things.
A real quick question.
Yes.
My son's just having his next door neighbor tore down the house, developers coming in. They took down a pretty good sized tree, and I was told the state allows you to take 1 tree down. Is that right? Regardless of the size?
No, there is a fairly recent bill that passed where if there's a tree that is, could be a potential harm on a residential property, then you just need an arborist report saying that it's a potential harm and you can remove it. You don't need a tree permit from us. But as far as that goes,
You're not familiar with
I'm
the
not
statements.
familiar
Thank
with
you.
Yeah.
We have a question here from somebody online. What is the city doing about 163.045? Does that mean anything to you?
That might be the House bill that I just referred to.
That was what the question is. What was?
Yeah. I was
Yes, so we had a meeting with Commissioner Einhard Koch to talk about the changes that are being proposed, and we gave our input. The wording is very loose, I would say, and it's really easy for someone to remove a tree and for us to do our work and protect trees. So we are, trying to see if there's any way to not eliminate it, but maybe make it a little bit more, to make it harder for someone to remove a tree.
And may I ask to hold questions to the end if possible? We're a little short on time, so the questions, as we have time, let's wait till the end if we may, please.
Okay. And I'll try to hurry up a little bit. So our tree protection division has 2 arborists, 1 senior arborist and 1 regular arborist. One of our biggest divisions is building and permitting. The permitting technicians are responsible for accepting permit applications, checking them for completeness before they're distributed, and processing permits for issuance. So they're always in contact with the contractors on advancing the permits. The building division staff reviews building plans and provides technical inspections to ensure every building project in the city conforms to the appropriate codes and regulations. And then there's a table of organization for our building division, our permitting division, and that's led by Macy Peeler. And then the next one is our building division, and that's led by our building official, Larry Murphy. And the last division, our newest division, is facilities. And they are basically in charge of the maintenance of most of our city facilities. They also they overview the major repairs that are needed to be done within our buildings to ensure structural and operational integrity of our buildings. And they also provide oversight for all of the city-owned real estate, including land and property leasing, and oversight for the disposal of our obsolete and surplus assets and materials. And they're housed on Central and 8th Street. And there's the table of organizations for facilities, and it's led by Rob Shanley. Development Services staffs 3 advisory boards. We staff the planning board, and the planning board holds hearings and makes recommendations to the city on a variety of development applications. So including site plans, rezones, minor conditional uses, major conditional uses, zoning text amendments, amendments to the comp plan, etc. The planning board members are volunteers and are appointed by the city commission to serve 3-year terms. And they are required to be city residents. And generally we have a meeting the second Wednesday of each month starting at 1:30. The Board of Adjustments hears appeals of a determination from the director. They also hear variance applications. They meet the last Wednesday of the month at 1:30 as well. There's 5 members who are also volunteers appointed by the City Commission, and they also serve 3-year terms. And then our last board, the Board of Rules and Appeals, that one is established for the purpose of hearing alternative standards to various model building codes, certifying contractors, denying issuance or renewal of certificates, imposing fines to contractors, and hearing denials of issuance of a building permit. They have 13 board members, and they generally meet once per quarter. So one question that comes up a lot is, how are we doing now that we're coming out of the pandemic? This table here illustrates the first row. I took the permits issued and the development applications that were submitted from March 2019 until March 30th, 2020, right about when we closed. And then the second row are the permits issued and the development applications submitted during the pandemic, essentially from March 2020 until March 2021. You can see that we had more building permits that were issued during the pandemic and slightly less development applications submitted. We were closed. We weren't taking in development applications for a certain time. So I think that's why we have 10 or 11 less. But you can see that our numbers have not been impacted at all. And then the next two rows are just from a short time frame from May 1st, 2018 until July 2nd, 2018, because that's kind of when we opened back up to the public and things got a little bit more normal of this year. So you can see that our numbers also have not really decreased. We have more permits that were submitted during that time frame this year than in 2019 when things were normal. So we haven't really felt any impacts. We have always been open as far as taking in building permits, and we had to change a lot of our systems and our processes, but we were able to manage. So I'm going to talk about a few different projects that we're working on that might be of interest. The first one is our one-stop shop, and that is the purpose of it is to create a permitting space, an environment where more walkthrough type permits can be processed. So to have everyone in one building. If you need to process a permit, you have everyone there in one place. So it's going to house the Development Services Department, the Utilities Billing Department, the Public Works Engineering Department, Sustainability, a utility engineer, and the majority of the Planning Department. It's going to be located as outlined in red there across the street from City Hall on 2nd Street. It's currently used as a parking lot for a lot of our fleet vehicles and employee vehicles. On March of last year, the City Commission directed staff to pursue that site on 2nd Street. So we've been moving forward with the design team who was awarded the contract in August of 2020 to work with them to come up with the design and the configuration for the floor plans. And its anticipated completion date is approximately spring of 2023. The bay, I'm sure everyone here is familiar with it. The north side of the Mangrove Walk is open. I have a picture there of the conceptual master plan showing the entire 53-acre site. Ground is broken on phase 1. The Upland Park portion is expected to open summer of 2022, and the Sunset Boardwalk is expected to open summer of 2023. The preliminary design has also been started for the rest of the phases. The city and county commissioners to each serve on the Bay Park Improvement Board. And then the next slide I have here is just a diagram of phase 1, which has gone through the entitlement process. They received a major conditional use for the Sunset Pier, and then also a site plan for the project itself. And that's about 52 acres of the entire site. And then the Quay is another project that is probably of interest to everyone. The entitlements that the Quay has is 695 residential units total, 175 hotel rooms, 38,972 square feet of office, and 189,050 square feet of commercial. That's the maximum that they have for entitlements. You can see here that number 1 is the Ritz-Carlton residence that is done. So that was the first site plan that was received, and that's 73 residential units and 9,500 square feet of restaurant. Number 2 is a project that's under permitting. It's a Lennar project with 240 multifamily residences and 13,000 square feet of retail on the ground floor. Number 10 is the Beso project. It's a Coulter project, and that has 149 multifamily residences. And those are the only 3 that have been permitted so far. Number 8, 9, 7, 6, 4 are all kind of just conceptual. Still have to go through the site plan process. And then number 3 is a historic Bellhaven, which is now open. Greenpoint, the developer for the Quay, has their offices in there. So it's they've done a really good job, I think, with restoring that building. And then some technology improvements that we have currently been working on. First is e-plans. And we've had a plan to go electronic with our building permits for a while. COVID, I think, kind of sped that up a little bit. So now people are able to submit their plans electronically, which is a huge achievement for us. It's kind of the norm out there, but we were behind the game. Automated inspections also. You don't have to call in to get an inspection now. It's all automated. So that's helped a lot too. We've had that in play for a little while now. Click to fix. I'm sure maybe some of you guys have heard about that. That's a new app that's being developed where you can take a picture and send your complaint to, or if you see something that's wrong, you can send it and it would automatically go to an appropriate department and division to handle it, and then you can track it to see where it's at in the process. Right now, it's still being worked on. There's a few different members of the public that are practicing on it, and we're trying to work on all the kinks. But it should be out to the public hopefully next week. There is going to be a press release, and we'll get the information out. So I think that's going to be just a huge help, I think, to the citizenry and also to us to know what we need to focus on, what we need to fix, and the issues that are out there, since we don't have eyes everywhere. And then the zoning map is another one that we're also improving. We're getting all of our zoning information onto GIS so we can get rid of our Mylar maps, which is it's really an antiquated process that we have going. So I think with that, it's going to help the public access that information and make it a little bit easier to know what you can do on your property. And then this slide here has some contact information for our different divisions. If you ever need to contact anyone, you can use any of these numbers. If you can't figure out who to contact, you can also contact me. I'll leave some of my cards on that table. But if ever in doubt, I really feel comfortable that my staff will help you figure out who you need to contact and what you need to do. And that concludes my presentation.